There is an insect that produces 60 times more protein than chickens. Not twice as much, not 10 times as much. 60 times more protein from the same amount of space. 60 times more protein from the same amount of feed. 60 times more efficient at converting waste into food. A chicken farm producing 1,000 pounds of protein per acre per year could be replaced by an insect operation producing 60,000 pounds of protein from the same acre. The mathematics is not marginal. The mathematics is revolutionary. This insect eats garbage. Literal garbage. Food scraps from your kitchen, rotting vegetables from grocery stores, manure from livestock operations, waste that would otherwise fill landfills or pollute waterways. The insect consumes what we throw away and converts it into the most nutrient-dense protein on Earth. This insect grows to harvest size in 14 days. A chicken requires 6 to 8 weeks to reach slaughter weight. A pig requires 6 months. A cow requires 18 to 24 months. This insect goes from egg to harvestable protein in 2 weeks. The production cycle is so fast that a single facility can produce 26 harvests per year. This insect requires no antibiotics. The poultry industry pumps birds full of antibiotics to prevent disease outbreaks in crowded conditions. These antibiotics enter the human food chain. They contribute to antibiotic resistance that kills 35,000 Americans every year. The insect requires no medication because its biology naturally resists pathogens. This insect produces no methane. Cattle produce methane that is 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide as a greenhouse gas. Livestock methane is responsible for 14.5% of global greenhouse emissions. The insect produces zero methane. Its digestive process generates no climate-destroying gases. This insect has been eaten by humans for thousands of years. Indigenous peoples on every continent except Antarctica have consumed insects as a primary protein source. The disgust that Western cultures feel toward insect eating is cultural, not biological. It is learned, not innate. It is marketing, not instinct. And the meat industry has made sure you never learn that insects could replace everything they sell, because a family that raises insects for protein does not buy chicken. A community that produces insect protein does not need factory farms. A world that embraces insect agriculture does not need the industry that generates $1.4 trillion per year selling animal flesh. The meat industry is the most powerful food lobby on Earth. They have spent decades ensuring that insects remain disgusting in Western minds. They have spent billions making sure you never consider the alternative crawling beneath your feet. Today, we are opening the file on the tiny insect that produces more protein than any farm animal, the creature that eats garbage and produces nutrition, the technology that could end factory farming and feed the world, and the industry that has hidden it because it makes their business obsolete. If this matters to you, subscribe and hit the bell. The file is open. The insect is called the black soldier fly, Hermetia illusions, a fly that looks nothing like the houseflies you swat in summer. It does not buzz around your food. It does not spread disease. It does not even have functional mouth parts as an adult. It cannot bite. It cannot eat. It exists only to reproduce. The adult fly lives for approximately 1 week. During that week, it mates and lays eggs. It does not bother humans. It does not enter homes. It has no interest in anything except continuing its species. The magic is not in the adult fly. The magic is in the larvae. Black soldier fly larvae are eating machines. They are biological converters of unprecedented efficiency. They are the technology that could end hunger and environmental destruction simultaneously. A single larva consumes twice its body weight in organic matter every day. It grows from a tiny egg to a fat, protein-rich grub in 14 days. It converts waste into body mass with an efficiency that no vertebrate animal can match. The larvae are approximately 45% protein by dry weight. This exceeds beef at 26%. This exceeds chicken at 27%. This exceeds fish at 22%. The tiny grub contains more protein per gram than any meat in the grocery store. The larvae are approximately 35% fat by dry weight. This fat is rich in lauric acid, the same beneficial fatty acid found in coconut oil. The fat profile is healthier than the saturated fat in beef or pork. The larvae contain all essential amino acids in ratios that meet human nutritional requirements. Unlike plant proteins that must be combined to provide complete nutrition, insect protein is complete on its own. A diet of black soldier fly larvae alone would provide all the protein a human body needs. The other 5 pounds become manure, methane, and metabolic heat. Pigs have a feed conversion ratio of approximately 3:1, better than cattle, but still inefficient. Chickens have a feed conversion ratio of approximately 1.7:1, the most efficient conventional livestock, which is why chicken is cheaper than beef. The efficiency numbers are what make scientists excited and meet industry executives nervous. Feed conversion ratio measures how much feed an animal requires to produce 1 pound of body weight. Lower numbers are better. Lower numbers mean more efficient conversion of resources into food. Cattle have a feed conversion ratio of approximately 6:1. It takes 6 pounds of feed to produce 1 pound of beef. The other 5 pounds become manure, methane, and metabolic heat. Pigs have a feed conversion ratio of approximately 3:1. Better than cattle, but still inefficient. Chickens have a feed conversion ratio of approximately 1.7:1, the most efficient conventional livestock, which is why chicken is cheaper than beef. Black soldier fly larvae have a feed conversion ratio of approximately 1.4:1, more efficient than any vertebrate livestock, more meat from less feed. But this comparison is misleading because it understates the advantage. Chickens require feed that humans could eat. Corn, soybeans, grains, the feed that goes to chickens is food. Removed from the human food supply, black soldier fly larvae eat waste that humans cannot eat: food scraps, agricultural residues, processing byproducts, material that would otherwise rot in landfills. The true comparison is not 1.7 to 1.4. The true comparison is valuable human food versus worthless garbage. Chickens convert human food into less human food. Black soldier fly larvae convert garbage into human food. This is not mere efficiency. This is alchemy. This is turning trash into treasure at biological speed. The space efficiency compounds the advantage. A chicken operation requires approximately 1 square foot per bird. A typical broiler house contains 20,000 to 30,000 birds, producing approximately 150,000 pounds of meat per year from 30,000 square feet. A black soldier fly operation produces vertically. Trays of larvae stack on shelves. A 30,000 square foot facility can operate with 20 or more levels of production. The same footprint that produces 150,000 pounds of chicken produces 9 million pounds of insect larvae, 60 times more protein from the same space. This is where the 60x number comes from. This is the mathematics that terrifies the meat industry. This is the efficiency that could feed the world from facilities the size of warehouses instead of farms the size of counties. The water efficiency extends the advantage further. Beef production requires approximately 1,800 gallons of water per pound of meat. This includes water for the animal, water for feed crops, and water for processing. Chicken production requires approximately 500 gallons of water per pound of meat. Better than beef, but still substantial. Black soldier fly production requires approximately 1 gallon of water per pound of larvae. The larvae obtain most of their moisture from the food waste they consume. Additional water is barely needed. The difference is not incremental. The difference is 3 orders of magnitude. 1,000 times less water for insect protein than for beef protein. In a world facing water scarcity, this efficiency is not merely interesting, it is necessary. It is the difference between feeding 10 billion people and watching billions die of hunger and thirst. The climate impact comparison is equally dramatic. Beef production generates approximately 60 kilograms of greenhouse gases per kilogram of meat. This includes methane from digestion, nitrous oxide from manure, and carbon dioxide from feed production and transportation. Chicken production generates approximately 6 kilograms of greenhouse gases per kilogram of meat, 10 times better than beef, but still substantial. Black soldier fly production generates approximately 1 kilogram of greenhouse gases per kilogram of larvae. And this may be an overestimate that declines as operations optimize. If the world replaced beef consumption with insect consumption, agricultural greenhouse gas emissions would drop by approximately 90%. The climate impact of this single substitution would exceed the impact of eliminating all automobiles. This is not hypothetical, this is math. This is what happens when you replace inefficient biology with efficient biology. The meat industry knows this math. They have commissioned studies. They have analyzed the threat. They have developed strategies to ensure that insects remain a curiosity rather than a competitor. The history of insect eating extends back to the origins of humanity. Before humans developed agriculture, before we domesticated animals, we ate insects. Archaeological evidence from sites across Africa shows that early humans consumed termites, grubs, and larvae as primary protein sources. This makes evolutionary sense. Insects are easy to catch. They are abundant. They are nutritious. A human expending calories to chase a deer might not catch it. A human expending calories to gather termites always succeeds. The Aboriginal Australians have eaten witchetty grubs for over 40,000 years. These larvae are roasted over coals and consumed as a delicacy. They taste like almonds when raw and like scrambled eggs when cooked. The indigenous peoples of Mexico have eaten chapulines or grasshoppers for at least 3,000 years. These insects are toasted with chili and lime and sold in markets throughout Oaxaca. They are a crunchy, savory snack that tourists initially resist and then cannot stop eating. The Thai people eat over 200 species of insects. Night markets in Bangkok sell fried crickets, silkworms, water bugs, and dozens of other species. Insect eating is not poverty food. It is cultural food. It is preferred food. The Japanese consume hachinoko, or bee larvae, as a luxury item. The larvae are simmered in soy sauce and sugar and served in high-end restaurants. The price reflects the labor required to collect them, not any lack of desirability. 2 billion people on Earth eat insects regularly today. This is not a fringe practice. This is mainstream nutrition for a quarter of humanity. The Western disgust toward insect eating is the exception, not the rule. It is a cultural artifact, not a biological imperative. It can be unlearned because it was learned. The origin of Western insect disgust is surprisingly recent and deliberately cultivated. Ancient Romans ate beetle larvae as delicacies. Medieval Europeans consumed insects during famines and considered some species desirable. The Bible explicitly permits eating locusts, grasshoppers, and crickets. The disgust emerged primarily in the 18th and 19th centuries as Europeans colonized the world. They encountered insect-eating cultures and defined themselves in opposition. Eating insects became primitive. Eating meat became civilized. The distinction reinforced colonial hierarchies. The meat industry inherited and amplified this distinction. As industrial meat production developed in the 20th century, the industry invested heavily in marketing that associated meat with strength, prosperity, and modernity. Beef is what successful people eat. Chicken is what healthy people eat. Insects are what poor people in undeveloped countries eat. This messaging was deliberate. It was funded, it was repeated, until it became invisible, until it seemed like natural preference rather than manufactured disgust. The industry continues this messaging today. They fund studies questioning insect nutrition. They lobby against regulatory approval for insect foods. They ensure that grocery stores do not stock insect products prominently. The disgust you feel when you imagine eating insects was put there by an industry that profits from your disgust. It is not your authentic reaction. It is their implanted aversion. The nutritional profile of black soldier fly larvae exceeds conventional meat by almost every measure. Protein content at 45% exceeds all conventional meats. But protein is not just quantity. It is quality. The quality of insect protein rivals or exceeds animal protein. The amino acid profile of black soldier fly larvae matches the profile recommended by the World Health Organization for human nutrition. All essential amino acids are present in appropriate ratios. No combining with other foods is necessary. The digestibility of insect protein exceeds 90%. This means that more than 90% of the protein consumed is absorbed and utilized by the body. This matches the digestibility of egg protein, the traditional gold standard. The fat profile includes significant lauric acid, which has antimicrobial properties. The same compound that makes coconut oil popular for health applications is present naturally in black soldier fly larvae. The mineral content includes calcium at levels exceeding milk. The larvae contain iron at levels exceeding beef. They contain zinc at levels exceeding pork. A serving of insect protein provides minerals that would require multiple servings of conventional meat. The vitamin content includes B12, the vitamin that vegans struggle to obtain without supplementation. Insects are one of the few non-animal sources of B12. A diet including insects requires no supplementation. The chitin content deserves special mention. Chitin is the compound that forms insect exoskeletons. It is a form of fiber that acts as a prebiotic, feeding beneficial gut bacteria. Conventional meat contains no fiber. Insect meat supports digestive health. The complete nutritional package makes black soldier fly larvae a superfood by any reasonable definition. More protein than meat, better fat than meat, more minerals than meat, fiber that meat lacks entirely. The industry cannot argue nutrition. They argue only disgust. The process of raising black soldier fly larvae is remarkably simple. The flies mate and lay eggs on organic material. The eggs hatch into tiny larvae within 4 days. The larvae immediately begin consuming whatever organic matter surrounds them. For the next 14 days, the larvae eat continuously. They grow from microscopic hatchlings to fat grubs, approximately 3/4 of an inch long. They increase their body weight by thousands of times. As the larvae approach maturity, they instinctively migrate away from the food source. They seek dry, dark locations to pupate. This instinct is exploited in commercial operations through self-harvesting systems. A ramp leads from the feeding area to a collection container. The mature larvae crawl up the ramp and fall into the container. No labor is required to harvest. The insects harvest themselves. The collected larvae can be processed immediately or stored alive. Live larvae continue to digest their gut contents, improving nutritional profile. Processed larvae are killed through freezing, then dried or pressed for oil extraction. The dried larvae can be ground into flour for incorporation into foods. The pressed larvae yield oil for cooking or cosmetic applications. The residual material after processing, called frass, is a potent fertilizer. Nothing is wasted. The garbage that enters becomes protein, oil, and fertilizer. The conversion is total. A home-scale operation can be established with minimal investment. A plastic bin serves as the breeding container. Adult flies mate and lay eggs on scraps placed in the bin. The eggs are transferred to a growing container filled with food waste. The growing container can be as simple as a 5-gallon bucket. Drainage holes allow excess moisture to escape. A ramp allows mature larvae to self-harvest into a collection cup. The system requires feeding once or twice per week. Kitchen scraps that would otherwise go to garbage instead go to the larvae. Within 2 weeks, those scraps become harvestable protein. A bucket-scale system produces approximately 1 to 2 pounds of larvae per week. This is enough to supplement a family's protein intake significantly. Scaled up slightly, it provides complete protein self-sufficiency. The smell is the primary concern of beginners. Decomposing organic matter can smell unpleasant. But black soldier fly larvae actually reduce odor compared to normal decomposition. They consume the material before it has time to rot. Their digestive process generates less odor than passive decomposition. A well-managed system smells like damp earth. It does not smell like garbage. The larvae process wastes faster than it can develop foul odors. The larvae also eliminate disease vectors. Houseflies and other pests cannot compete with black soldier fly larvae. The BSF larvae outcompete them for food and release compounds that repel other insects. A BSF system actually reduces pest problems rather than creating them. The commercial insect protein industry is growing explosively despite industry opposition. Venture capital has poured billions into insect protein startups. Unsect in France raised over $400 million. Prodix in the Netherlands raised over $200 million. InnovaFeed, Intera, and dozens of other companies have raised substantial funding. These investments are not charity. They are bets on inevitability. The investors see the efficiency numbers. They see the environmental pressure. They see the math that makes insect protein the future. Current commercial production focuses primarily on animal feed. Chickens fed insect meal grow faster than chickens fed soy meal. Fish fed insect meal have better flesh quality. Pets fed insect-based food have shinier coats. The animal feed market is a stepping stone. It establishes production capacity. It refines processing technology. It normalizes insect cultivation before the more controversial step of direct human consumption. The human food market is following. Cricket flour is available on Amazon. Insect protein bars are sold in health food stores. Restaurants in progressive cities serve insect dishes. The trajectory is clear. What seems unusual today will seem normal tomorrow. What seems disgusting now will seem delicious to the next generation. The meat industry sees this trajectory and responds with obstruction. They lobby against regulatory approval for insect foods. They fund research questioning insect safety. They promote messaging that reinforces disgust. They cannot win on nutrition. They cannot win on efficiency. They cannot win on environment. They can only win on disgust, and disgust is weakening with every generation. The regulatory landscape reflects industry influence. In the United States, insects are regulated by the FDA as food. Approval for human consumption requires demonstrating safety through testing. This testing is expensive and time-consuming. The meat industry did not have to prove that beef was safe. Beef was grandfathered in as a traditional food. Insects, despite being eaten by humans for millions of years, are treated as novel foods requiring new approval. This regulatory asymmetry favors incumbents over innovators. It protects existing industries from competition. It is not based on science. It is based on politics. Europe has been more progressive. The European Food Safety Authority has approved several insect species for human consumption. Mealworms, crickets, and locusts can be legally sold as food throughout the EU. The market has responded. Insect products are increasingly available in European grocery stores. Consumption is growing. The disgust is fading. America lags because American regulators are more subject to industry influence. The meat lobby is stronger here. The obstruction is more effective. This will change. The pressure is too great. The efficiency is too compelling. The environmental crisis is too urgent. The question is not whether insect protein will become mainstream in America. The question is how many years of industry obstruction will delay the inevitable. The environmental case for insect protein strengthens every year. Climate change is accelerating. Agricultural emissions are a primary driver. The meat industry generates more greenhouse gases than all transportation combined. Reducing meat consumption is one of the most impactful individual actions for climate. But people like protein. People want the satisfaction that protein provides. Telling people to simply eat less does not work. Insect protein provides the satisfaction without the emissions. It provides the nutrition without the destruction. It provides an alternative that people can embrace, rather than a deprivation they must endure. Water scarcity is accelerating. Agriculture consumes 70% of freshwater withdrawals globally. Livestock production is the thirstiest component of agriculture. Insect production requires almost no water. The transition from meat to insects would free water for other uses. It would reduce pressure on aquifers and rivers. It would make water crises less frequent and less severe. Land use is increasingly constrained. The meat industry occupies 30% of ice-free land surface on Earth. Expanding meat production requires deforestation. Maintaining current production requires continued occupation of land that could support ecosystems. Insect production requires minimal land. Vertical farming in warehouses replaces horizontal farming across landscapes. The transition from meat to insects would free land for rewilding. Forests could regrow. Species could recover. The environmental math leads to one conclusion. The current food system is unsustainable. An alternative is required. Insects are that alternative. You have been taught to feel disgust because disgust serves the industry. The disgust is not natural. It is not biological. It is not an authentic expression of your preferences. It is propaganda. It is marketing. It is a response implanted by corporations that profit from your rejection of their competitor. The disgust can be unlearned. It has been unlearned by millions of Westerners who have traveled to insect-eating cultures and discovered that their aversion was baseless. The first bite is difficult. The second bite is easier. The third bite is normal. By the 10th bite, you wonder what you were ever afraid of. The taste is not what you imagine. Crickets taste nutty, like sunflower seeds. Mealworms taste like popcorn. Black soldier fly larvae taste like a cross between potatoes and nuts. There is no rotten flavor. There is no sliminess. There is no experience that matches the disgust the industry has cultivated. There is only protein. Clean, efficient, sustainable protein that your ancestors ate and your descendants will eat again. The tiny insect that produces 60 times more protein than chickens is waiting. It is waiting in research laboratories, perfecting cultivation techniques. It is waiting in commercial facilities, scaling up production. It is waiting in homes where people have overcome manufactured disgust. It is waiting to replace an industry that kills billions of animals, destroys the environment, and threatens human health with antibiotic resistance. The industry has hidden this alternative for decades. They have cultivated your disgust. They have obstructed regulatory approval. They have done everything in their power to ensure you never consider insects as food. They failed. You now know that insects produce more protein more efficiently than any animal. You know that they eat garbage and produce nutrition. You know that they require almost no water and generate almost no emissions. You know that 2 billion people already eat insects. You know that your disgust was manufactured. You know that the first bite is the only hard one. You know that the meat industry fears insects more than any other threat. You know that their obstruction reveals their weakness. You know that their hiding proves the alternative works. The tiny insect is waiting. The future of food is waiting. The only question is how long you will wait to join it. If this video helped you, subscribe and hit the bell. Every share feeds what they wanted you to fear. The next video opens soon.